There we go. I had to wait for the fade. Welcome to the fucking show. It's so hard to do. Oh, Mark, you want to bring us into a show?
So this is a big...
We're just trying to include you. You got like a chip on your showant to man.
It's a big moment. We're like allowing you to intro the show, and this is the thing.
Never again. We don't let him do it anymore. Fuck that. Want to make a mockery of it.
Welcome to the show, the Ultimate Fantasy Locker Room. There's our sign right back there. Just hanging out.
That was our
next episode.
Fastest.
Next man up.
Fastest to the F word ever. We've never hit the F word.
Yeah, we've never gone that quick.
I like to set bars.
Yeah,
I'm setting them.
Bad.
All right, we're here. The Ultimate Fantasy Locker Room. Mark, Rocky, Phil, breaking down your fantasy football squads going into the season.
Yeah. So what are we doing today?
I think we're continuing next man up, right?
Yes, we are. We're doing the AFC East today.
And this is exciting because we're dropping 2 episodes every week. And our subscribers are growing.
We're just gearing up for the training camp and
that's right, yeah,
and preseason games and
this is what you got to do if you guys can.
America,
like us, listen, and if you could share our videos.
Yeah, please.
On Twitter and Facebook and
that'd be
Instagram.
awesome.
Just let your friends know that there's 3 idiots that are not afraid to have an actual opinion about fantasy sports.
And one of them really sucks at intros.
Yeah.
I can't wait to try the outro at the end.
Which one is it?
I'm going both. I'm doing both.
Oh, you're doing both. All right, yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I'm being greedy.
I'll cut the damn mic off. Let me tell you that. I mean, baby steps, you know. Friday was a bad day.
Yeah, he was telling me about it because we got together on Saturday, too.
The pain, sweats, couldn't get out of bed. It was bad.
Really?
Oh, it was bad.
Oh, man.
Bad.
I'd have never...
So
me and Rocky had a third edition of our mandate.
Yeah, I think it may have been the Guinness, but it can't because I'm not going to stop drinking Guinness.
We just had Guinness today, right?
No.
Oh, I thought were you bullshitting?
No, I was saying Guinness Saturday.
Still drunk from
the
Guinness
hell are you
Saturday?
Talking about? Yeah, you said you were a little drunk. Okay, you know what? We're gonna restart.
I don't want people to think I day drink. You know,
there's nothing wrong with day
There's
drinking.
nothing wrong with day drinking at all.
It's 3 o'clock. I'm just saying.
So yeah, me and Rocky, we hit St. Pete Beach.
It's wrong what I'm doing.
In search of a business venture.
Yeah, let me tell you what. Phil knows how to fill out a Speedo too.
Excuse me. Come on, man.
Sorry.
Come on, your daughters might listen to this.
Yeah, they might. They probably won't. Though, so.
All right, yeah. Okay.
No, we did. We had a nice day. Yeah. Really, it was sat on some beach chairs. And
it rained out the first half of the day.
Yeah.
Driving in a typhoon.
Yeah, beautiful. Had a woman that we couldn't figure out. Remember, we couldn't figure out pregnant or not pregnant.
Oh yeah,
we were a little bit afraid because you don't want to make that.
Not mistake. That we were judging.
A little bit. We don't want to make that mistake.
Is she pregnant or is it cirrhosis? I just don't. I don't know.
We couldn't tell.
There was a lot of variables involved.
Yeah,
for sure.
What are the variables?
Age.
Yeah.
Look.
Yeah.
Belly. We couldn't tell. Pregnant belly. Beer belly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which one is it? Not that it's important, but Rocky tends to pay attention to these things. He always brings these things to my attention. You know how somebody looks.
People watching.
Is she good? You know, like the Washington owner's daughter. Like, is she good looking?
I'm an observer.
How does she look?
Yeah. No.
What's she wearing?
Why is she wearing?
That's an awesome impression.
No. Why is she wearing what she's wearing? Yeah. Should she be wearing what she's wearing?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's her body.
Yeah,
and you can't tell her what to do with her body.
No, I can. And
that's score one for PC.
You can't tell her liver not to triple in size due to her day drinking problem.
Listen, here's the deal. Could I wear a Speedo? Sure. Yeah.
Well, anybody can. Almost anybody.
But is it what I should do?
Yes.
All right. So now, to be fair,
for the betterment of everybody around me,
dude, you know how much humor that brings to a lot of people around you.
Listen,
you're bringing joy to their day.
I just want to make a point that I don't think you wearing the Speedo is the equivalent.
Oh no, I think it's exactly.
No. Now listen.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best thing to look at.
I think I might look better.
No.
In a Speedo
listen.
than she looked in what she was wearing.
She had shorts and a top on, like a bikini top. Okay. All right, so it wasn't great. But him in a Speedo? Oh. All right, we're talking with these levels, okay?
Smuggling.
There's levels, yeah.
Smuggling a couple of almonds and a pretzel stick?
Yeah, I mean, a thin one.
Peaches.
So, let's just not put that on the same level. But needless to say, we hung out. We were on the beach.
Yeah.
I've never
Caught
seen a
some
thick
beach
pretzel
vibes.
stick, actually.
He did,
You've
though.
never seen one?
A thick pretzel
It's called a
stick?
pretzel rod.
That's not,
at one
that's
point,
thick to you?
Hey, at one
Oh,
point,
shit.
As pretzels go.
at one point, he did feed me a cannoli.
No, I didn't.
He did.
He fed it to you?
It's true.
All right, so I'm not following along with this.
He said,
I'm not
he
listening.
said, "Let me here taste my cannoli."
Okay.
That's exactly what he said.
Did you lick the cannoli filling?
Is that the
that
one
was-
you brought home to your wife? No, right?
Did you lick the cannoli filling off his fingers?
It was
No.
inside the cannoli shell.
Okay.
No, well, that's not a good cannoli because that should spell out a good cannoli. That there's so much cannoli filling.
All right, let's stop
Yeah,
this
listen,
before.
so, yeah,
before
we had a
Jared
good
King-
time.
Before Jared King yells at us for
He
taking
gets
too long.
Jerry King's gonna get jealous that he didn't taste my cannoli.
Yeah, well. So,
Oh God!
it was a good cannoli, by the way.
This
Very,
show
very
can
tasty.
go sideways very quickly.
All right,
Rocky
so
goes both ways.
Let's talk about what we're going to talk about today. We're going to continue.
I already did that in the intro.
Did you?
No, we're gonna get into it now, though. He doesn't understand structure.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get it. Let's talk about the team with the least guys to talk about, and we'll go right into the New England Patriots.
Okay, so we're going to do the AFC East, New England Patriots, and let's talk about because you have a player you like.
A player I like, and I liked him last year, to be fair, and I think we've talked about him before. I think the COVID deal, him getting hurt, getting COVID,
Got a lot of
he even
excuses for
he
him.
admitted. Well, I mean, listen, we talked about. There's a reason Belichick swears by him. I mean, he didn't swear by Tom Brady like that.
Does he though?
Did he? Because he
He
drafted
does.
Mac
Yeah,
Jones.
he drafted
That's
Mac
fair, but they
Jones.
got. Well, he's only on a 1-year deal, guys. I'm talking about this year. I think they still think they could win.
Okay.
So I'm saying I like Cam Newton, even if early in the season. I'm not saying you draft a guy at the top of the draft. I say he's a guy you take a flyer on. And if he's playing for the first 6 games, if you know he's playing, I could count on him getting a few rushes at the goal line. Cam Newton, okay, we'll stash that away.
Okay.
Mac Jones, I want to draft. We've been through this already.
Yeah,
But-
let's save the
Yeah.
argument for Cam
'Cause we'll
Newton.
talk for 5,
yeah, we could go back and forth because I think there's a reason why Carolina wasn't beating down his door when he left. But
Yo, Carolina's great, though. So the Pats, we're talking about Jonnu Smith, we're
versus
talking about Hunter Henry.
Hunty Boo Boo.
Yeah.
And we got Sony Michel and Damian Harris in the mix.
Yeah.
We really don't have a clear defined fantasy stud on this roster right now.
No.
And it's the reason why I'm mentioning a guy like Cam Newton.
Which is funny. Without having a clear cut stud, there are 2 clear cut battles here on this team.
Yeah.
Honestly, because this could go either way for both of these positions and could end up being your fantasy factor.
Yeah.
And like I said, the Patriots this year seem to be a bit of a crapshoot. I mean, but it's New England. They seem to always rebound, right? They seem to always do well. So maybe Cam, the second year in this offense, maybe he does rebound.
I think he will, but we'll see. I think what's important here is that Jonnu and Hunter Henry or Hunty Boo Boo, it's really kind of a preference thing, I think, because we don't know what it's going to look like.
Right.
I think you just kind of roll the dice on the guy you have the most confidence in. I think the real conversation is between Sony Michel and Harris because we've seen them on the field. We know a little history about them. We definitely know the history of New England with their running backs and the other guys that are in that room, more specifically James White. And, that's where the conversation is to be had. Which one of these 2 guys
Is going to take the reins.
kind of, who's the guy you would take out of the 2? Give a short reason why, whatever. But, I mean, for me, I still kind of lean to Sony Michel. I think Harris was more, I could explain him off as a flash in the pan last year. I think Michel's proven to be a talented, productive guy when he's not injured. So, I mean, if I had to choose, I'll go Michel.
What's funny about those 2 is that, you don't really see the Pats draft running backs very often, but they made a point to draft both of these guys in a pretty, I guess, in a spot that they don't typically draft running backs. So I guess they saw something in both of these guys.
Right.
And I think they can both ball. But as we've pointed out before, in New England, I mean, who the hell is it going to be? They're all going to factor in Michel, Harris, White. They probably have a guy sitting on their practice squad right now for crying out loud that's going to factor into the backfield at some point too. For me, I think this battle for fantasy relevance is at the tight end position because I kind of feel like Belichick's trying to recreate that Hernandez-Gronkowski type of formation where you have 2 potentially dominant tight ends running loose on the field and trying to get Cam some help on the offense.
Well, I don't think anybody ran that 2 tight end set better than the Patriots. I think other teams have flirted with it, including the Browns last year. But I don't think anybody. I mean, when Hernandez and Gronkowski was there, Gronkowski, yeah, they were both relevant. Like you could draft either and feel okay about your tight end position.
Yeah.
So who do you think that's the issue, or do you think one's going to clearly outdistance?
Honestly, I think that's the issue. I think if we're talking about probably more reliable hands, we're talking about Hunter Henry. If we're talking about potentially more dynamic, Jonnu. So I don't know, man. Despite all the receivers they brought in, they brought in Nelson Aguilar, they brought in
I like
Kendrick
Aguilar
Bourne.
Too. Aguilar had a really strong year last year with Las Vegas, and I think that used correctly, he could really have a
I think it's fair to mention him, but I don't think he's
fantasy relevant
right now. I mean, not more than any of these. I mean, it's like I said at the beginning. It's kind of a coin flip between Jonnu and Hunter. You pick your preference with those two guys, and I think Michelle and Harris, it's kind of a toss-up too, but at least we have something to draw off.
All right, so let's give some clarity then. Who do you guys like?
Jonnu. I go Jonnu over Hunter Henry, and here's why. Jonnu is physically a more imposing and a faster receiver. Doesn't have as great hands, but he is going to be on for blocking. He's a better blocker, and he's going to be on the field for more plays. So he's frequent that he comes off his block and then gets into a route. So I would go Jonnu, and I would go I have to go Michelle, even though I think he likes Harris better. Michelle actually has outperformed Harris. That's me.
Yeah, like statistics wise, or
so like last year, Michelle had 80 rushes, almost 500 yards at a 5.71 average. Harris had 137, 691 yards at a 5-yard average. So they're both good.
Cool,
they're both good, but Michelle's proven a little bit more breakaway speed.
Yeah, you can't. Patriots couldn't go wrong in those drafts, right? Again, 2 SEC running backs. You have Michelle coming out of Georgia. You have Damian Harris coming out of Alabama. I mean, 2 tested running backs. I think it's close. I personally go Damian Harris. I like Damian Harris. I think he is a little bit more primed to break the tackle, get in the end zone. I do like Damian Harris. And, to what you were saying with Jonnu and Hunter Henry, with Jonnu being, it's almost like they're gonna tip their hand on plays, because I think they're gonna honestly split the receiving downs evenly, because I think it's gonna be a lot of 2 tight end sets. I think when you see one or the other in, if Jonnu's in, it's a running play, and if Hunter's in, it's gonna be a passing play. Is how I feel. I almost think like New England's gonna tip their hand there, but Belichick's great at figuring that out, right? So he's gonna run. This offense is gonna go through 2 tight end sets the majority of the time, I think.
Well, and I think what he's going to do is bring in Jonnu on obvious running plays and then pass to James White or pass to Jonnu, breaking off a tackle. Because I think Belichick is probably the brightest, definitely the most devious coach in the league.
Well, we
probably
know
because
you just paid like $90 for him in our dynasty league.
I did overpay. By the way, let's talk about an offer I received.
Yeah, I've received some really shitty offers since I offered up my taxi squad.
Gibson and Galladay for a 1.5.
Awful.
Like it's insulting, is what it is.
At least he responded though, man. I've been throwing trades at the 1.3 through 1.3, 1.5, and
I'm getting lots of
like
responses,
no response.
And the responses are, "I think you're an idiot." That's what they think of me
for not taking that.
No. They just, the things they're offering to me, they think I'm stupid. So, Hey guys, I'm not stupid. Not stupid.
All right, so moving on. We're gonna.
Did you name yours? Who would you?
Yeah, I did. I named Michelle at the beginning really quickly. Right. Michelle and Jonnu. So we'll go on to the Jets, the New York Jets, and it's a little convoluted here too.
Yeah, but it's not a joke anymore. The Jets, honestly, looking at their team, they've got talent here.
Yeah, they sure do.
Like, they really do. It's an interesting. Like, they could really jump up this year.
Yeah, but I think for fantasy owners, the main thing is just figuring out what talent you want to grab here because nothing's really defined. You got a new system coming in, new quarterback,
new everything,
couple new players, and the other players, guys that haven't been there that long. So there's nothing set in stone. It's really kind of just a pool of players, and you gotta use the little bit of history that you have on the guys that are on the roster, and a bunch of rookies to figure out who you want to grab.
So let's talk about some of these. First, let's talk about the wide receivers.
All right, so let's just say that Corey Davis is probably our slam dunk, right?
Yeah,
I don't know. I feel that way, but
I think he's the first receiver you're drafting out of the Jets.
Right.
Slam dunk, maybe not, but if there's...
Well, that's what I mean. So he's the first receiver coming off your board from the Jets, and you better definitely back that up because you made the argument that Corey Davis, wide receiver, won numbers. I mean, and I think you're right.
Yeah, I do.
I think he is going to be the focal point in New York.
I think the next player off the board there is probably going to be the quarterback, even though he's a rookie. He's going to start, and he's going to be given every chance to succeed, right?
That's fair.
So, of the receivers, and we're talking about Elijah Moore from who's a rookie, Denzel Mims, and Jamison Crowder.
Yep.
And honestly, both Mims and Crowder have shown flashes, and Elijah looked really good in college. So, what do you guys think?
Here's my thing. I think the Crowder falls into the same category that Shepard does a little bit.
Yeah,
where he's an older player, and he's been great. I mean, and if you have him on your roster into the season, he's playing his normal snaps, then you roll with Crowder. But coming into the season, I think it's more likely to see Davis, Mims, and a lot more on the field than we think.
Yeah.
I think you're right because I think they're going to try to be a little bit more explosive.
Yes. Yeah, and Crowder is more of a possession receiver. He's another one in the vein of Jarvis, Landry, Shepard, like you said.
Yeah, so, I mean, I'm going to go a little bit different. I mean, I know I made the argument for Corey Davis, but I do think he's capped a little bit by his explosiveness. And I like Mims. I do like Mims passing I watched him last year a lot. He passed the eye test as a guy. He has a little bit of size, but he's pretty explosive. It's a little bit of a dark horse as being the number one receiver on that team at the end of the year for me, Mims. And then I'd probably go more after that.
Yeah. Crowder, to me, is one of those guys. He puts up sneaky good numbers every year, right?
Consistent.
And it's crazy. He's a guy that you're like, every time you put him in your lineup, you're like, oh, God, I got to start Jamison Crowder this week. But then you're like pleasantly surprised, right, by his outcome. But he's not a guy that you're like dying to get into your lineup.
No, he's another guy with a really strong floor.
Yeah.
His ceiling
he's going to be
down.
consistent.
Yeah.
I've come around a little bit on Corey Davis, so I know we're not discussing him right now, but I do think that Corey Davis is going to be the focal point in that offense. And I think if you get Corey Davis of last year, I think you're going to get a really good production out of wide receiver.
Right.
But that's just it, man. Like, can he consistently do it? He's like Devontae Parker, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, in New York, But if we're deciding out of these three coming up, I don't know, man. The Jets were so high. The Jets were high on Mims last year, and it was more so they were trying to turn him into a route runner because he was a north and south guy because he was very fast. If he can develop that, then yes, I would say Mims as my choice out of these three.
Okay. I would say, again, and I do tend to like younger players.
Yeah, for sure.
What did Mims do? What did you see that you liked about Mims? His 23 receptions?
No.
I mean,
again, he was a developmental player.
15.5 yards.
He missed a lot of time.
He did.
Yeah.
15.5 yards a reception, so he did spread the field. If they were that high in him, then why do you draft Elijah Moore?
Well, it's a different
style.
Yeah. Well, not just
altogether.
that. It's a different coaching staff. I mean, different GM.
And that's my point.
Yeah.
Elijah Moore, 86 receptions, 1,200 yards, 13.9 yard average, 8 touchdowns in 6 games.
In the SEC.
In 6 games.
Yeah.
To me, he just got too much promise. he's got all the positives of Mims with the coaching, the blessing of the new coaching regime.
Yeah.
So to me, I would go Moore, Mims, and then Crowder. That's just me.
I mean, let's not just dust over why they drafted Mims. They didn't draft Mims
But they didn't draft Mims. That's my point.
But I'm saying, so the organization, they didn't bring Mims into New York to be their go-to guy. They brought him in as that guy that's going to, hey, once we teach this guy to run routes a little bit better, he's going to get that 0.4 second separation that he needs to be able to get him the ball down the field. They brought him in as the field stretcher. So you're looking at a guy that could potentially end up, you got a rookie quarterback, man. Those guys get boners for that long bomb, right?
Excuse me?
They did. You ever see it? They have to make the cups bigger for quarterbacks because those rookie quarterbacks, they get boners for throwing the ball long. Mims is going to be that guy. And I think that's the reason why I like Corey Davis now, because Corey Davis is going to actually, legitimize that wide receiving core.
We're not talking about Corey Davis.
No. But the point is that it's going to legitimize that passing attack where it's going to now finally open up for what they brought Mims in for.
Okay, that's fair.
Here's what I'm going to say, right? Like I said before, Elijah Moore, we haven't seen him play NFL football. We haven't seen the quarterback play NFL football. We know what Crowder is. I've seen Mims. Yeah, 23 catches. He's banged up for the year. But watching him on the field, how he goes up and gets the ball, he passed the eye test for me. So in a group of guys that I don't really know who's going to do what, I take the guy that I've seen play on an NFL field. I could be wrong. Elijah Moore could be great, but he could also not play as much as we think he's going to play. He could split time with Crowder. Who the hell knows, right? I think it's all conjecture.
That's part of the problem. With
that's
the
fair, yeah.
And
the Jets.
And we might feel different after we're into real camp.
Preseason, yeah. We see a few games. But, yeah. And then we'll talk about, we got Tevin Coleman, who you love for some reason.
No. I don't love him. I don't know if they're going to hand the reins right off to Michael Carter because
he's a journeyman that can't stay on the field.
Coleman, yeah, but he's got potential. And I mean, is it fair to call a guy on his third team journeyman? He's been injured, but you're bringing in a guy that understands the NFL, right? So you're always, you're talking about he's not testing the NFL. Well, neither Michael Carter's coming again from the ACC.
Yeah,
he's coming from North Carolina. I mean, how are their defenses really as stiff? They're not facing NFL defenses. This guy could be a bust. He was not even really thought about up until the hype train part of the NFL draft.
That's fair.
Wait for it.
Yeah, you're waiting for that.
Wait for it.
See, that was
I'm not waiting for it.
It's coming.
Listen. Yeah, you got to set up better. You're supposed to set him up.
I did. I said
not saying the hype train. You got to.
That's not
a setup is letting somebody know it's coming.
Oh man!
Right? So
in our in our rehearsals, it would be say, "Hey, I'm going to talk about Michael Carter."
Not even that. You could still, and building up all this hype, and we know.
I fly off the cuff. Look at my notes. I barely read any notes.
I'm saying, but that's why you're so bad at this. So we'll say, here's the point I'll make about Michael Carter and Mr.
Is that why
Tevin
I was
Coleman.
the 5th pick in our draft?
Here's the thing. I think either one of these guys, we're talking about the top Jets, right, that we draft. I think either one of them is a stretch to make it into that top group, right, because we just don't know. Now, if they're stretched, am I going to go with the journeyman? He is a journeyman running back because he's like under 28. He's been on 3 teams. Journeyman running back that can't stay healthy, that any team he's been on, he's never been the lead back. Or do I take a chance on the guy they drafted in the 3rd round? I take a chance on the guy with the upside and see where it goes.
Well, and what I like about Michael Carter is, ACC, I think you're right.
Take a breath.
There's below average defenses in the ACC.
Dalvin Cook playing the ACC?
He did.
Okay.
Yeah, he did.
Just saying.
Yeah, but I agree. But what I like about Carter is 8 yards a run. So let's take it back. Let's say that's ACC related. In the SEC, he would have ran 5.5. And then it would have been a different conversation. 8 yards a carry, 9 touchdowns. He had 26 receptions, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns.
How many games?
Shortened ACC. They didn't have a full season. I think they were like 8, 9 games.
Yeah.
So to me, he's worth it. I agree. Tevin Coleman, 3rd team. He did look good. His best season, 800 yards, 4.8 yards a rush. But that was
in Atlanta?
Several seasons ago. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of we just brought up Dalvin Cook. That's a a good comparison coming out of the ACC, but that's a diamond in the rough. Name another relevant running back out of the ACC. I think we have to go like all the way back to like Edgerrin James, don't we?
I have to rack my brain about that.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, that's
wasn't
just taken off the top.
I'm not saying that. I was just trying to make a point because you're making such a point that he played. He played in the
well, that's
ACC.
just it. It's like
C.J. Spiller was one.
Travis Etienne.
And he was a dud.
Yeah, that's a Giovanni Bernard. I mean,
Yeah, Giovanni been solid.
solid.
But yeah, I guess Clemson is ACC, aren't they?
Yeah, but it's not good.
Not good. And speaking of running backs,
ATN.
Is
That are,
Clemson ACC?
Yeah.
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 I'm just trying to segue here. Thank you. Speaking of running backs that in a backfield that's in peril, let's talk about those AFC East winning Buffalo Bills. We got a guy called Zach Moss and another guy called Devin Singletary, who are both on their way to being Tevin Coleman, I feel like.
Yeah. Yes.
And we'll pair those up with a guy named Cole Beasley, who we loved last year. He got some of us in the playoffs. And a new guy on the scene, Emmanuel Sanders.
Yep.
What do we think about this? I mean,
Real quick, for me, I agree with you on Zach Moss, Singletary. They're both journeymen. It's the one weakness on the Buffalo Bills that I see is they don't have a qualified running back. They could have, honestly, signed Kenyon Drake, and I would have been ecstatic for that.
with that offense, yes.
Yeah. So
Or drafted a running back.
Yeah,
we were all waiting for that. We were all waiting
Like
for
Michael Carter?
well, now they only had 4 picks.
Travis Etienne.
Right? They only had 4 picks.
They
so-
should have gone ACC running back.
Yeah. I don't get it. I don't like either of these two, and I think what it tells you is that it's going to be Josh Allen running a whole lot more still this
thank
year.
you.
So does it? I mean, we don't like either of these two, but for some reason, Buffalo, who was in the mix for the Super Bowl last year, stuck by these two when it seems to be the only weak link on that offense.
Here's their stats. Zach Moss, 112 carries, 481, 4-yard average, 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, he's a fat plotter.
Singleton, 687. Singletary, 687 yards, 4.4-yard average, 2 touchdowns.
Receiving back that can't catch.
They're
I
just-
mean, it's a crapshoot.
Not very good.
Just the same. They're just the same. You know what? I'm not taking a chance unless I'm desperate on
I'd leave
either of
him
them.
alone.
Yeah.
If I had to,
Gun to your head.
Zach Moss, because I think he might be a little bit more explosive.
I agree because I think Zach Moss is also the goal line back.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're looking to get the ball in either of these guys' hands. I think it's, the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs show. If they happen to bring in Zach Ertz, which is a question mark, I mean, this offense was already good. It can be even better. And I think Zach Moss, out of the two of them, is probably the recipient of some vulturing of touchdowns when they get deep into the red zone and are able to punch it through.
And I'll just chime in here. Cut to 2 weeks from now, Zach Moss shows up to camp, dropped 15 pounds, moving a lot
I hope
quicker.
not. He'd be 185 yards.
Maybe they had a heart-to-heart with him and say, hey, listen, guy,
Hypotheticals.
we got to cut out,
We should
cut
have
like
a show.
10, 15 pounds.
Just
But
hypotheticals.
so I think the more interesting part here is Cole Beasley, who was really a force and a fantasy stud last year for guys, especially the value. And a guy that we've seen show out in a lot of different places he's been in, a journeyman receiver at this point, but he's still very talented, Emmanuel Sanders. You guys sticking with the guy that's been in the system that proved it last year, or a guy that they went out and got and brought in to be a little bit more dynamic than John Brown was?
I'm sticking with Buffalo's version of Jamison Crowder, Cole Beasley.
Yeah,
And
I am too.
It's the
I
same.
am too.
You sure
It's the
this is
same
not
dude.
just a white man bias?
This is partly for me.
I just got to check, okay?
Partly for me.
Cole Beasley's white.
Yeah.
He plays like a.
I think Cole Beasley
Not
is a
finishing that
great
statement.
possession receiver. I think he runs pristine routes.
Pristine.
And I think I like Emmanuel Sanders quite a bit.
Call him Manny.
I just think he's
We see that it's written on the board.
he's on the end. He's on the end of his career. Like he's lost a
The
step.
back nine.
Yeah, and he lost a step, and I think he's going to lose another step this year. And
Not only has he lost a step, I would like to look up these stats. These could be fake, made up stats here, but
Yeah.
I feel like Manny has been dropping more balls as of recent too. I feel like he's got the dropsies a little bit more than he had earlier in his career.
That's fair. All right, so everybody's going Beasley here, right?
Beasley.
I'm going Beasley.
Beasley Moss, right?
All right, now let's move on to the team with some of the nicest colors in the league, but haven't been that great as of late.
They have not, but you know what? There's a lot of potential, man.
What do you guys think?
I think things are definitely looking up. That defense is pretty damn good.
Yeah, it looked great last year,
and they're bringing in some playmakers. They're going to have to live by the sword, die by the sword with Tagovailoa just to see how he's going to pan out over there.
Say that again one more time.
Tagovailoa.
Tua had 5 interceptions in a recent practice.
I know.
But that's good. He's getting it out of his system.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is it? Or is he the next James?
So we're locked in on Gaskins. That's about it, right?
Yeah. And
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
by default, locked in the Gaskins. That's another team, man, that we thought they were gonna either draft a running back or bring one in from the outside.
So they did. They do have a new running back. I don't know if he was an undrafted free agent.
Malcolm Brown.
No, there was an undrafted free agent. They have a rookie on
did?
their roster.
Well, they brought in Malcolm Brown too from the Rams.
Yeah, which is a decent back.
Oh, exciting.
But I still say Gaskins by default. And we talked a little bit about Gesicki,
Mikey G.
those Eckies.
See,
Yeah,
why can you pronounce those names so well? Gesicki, like
This is
anything
my
that
immigrant
has,
upbringing.
Yeah, anything that's in your wheelhouse.
You're
it's
about
like,
as American as it gets, buddy. You got That's not a good excuse.
I'm not American and I'm not white. I remember we had this.
I didn't say you're white. Take it easy.
We had this conversation on
American.
Saturday.
So what are you saying? That
Wait, so
people
you're
that
not
aren't
white. What
white
are you?
aren't American?
From
Rocky, what
from
are you
here,
saying?
you appear
I
to
just
be
said you're
white.
American. You said I'm not white.
No. I just knew your next argument. You were going to
you
say
didn't.
I
I was
was
not even
American
going white.
and I
I was
was
going
white
American.
bread. You were going to say I
No.
was white
I
bread.
was saying.
Wait,
okay.
if you're not white, what are you?
He's Wonder Bread.
I'm Italian.
Yeah,
Italian.
Italian's not the
Italian.
same thing.
We don't
buddy.
consider ourselves white
How come?
because
we're not white.
We're dirty immigrants. Like everybody thought the other immigrants are dirty. Like we're all in that same mess. You know.
Yeah, we're not pure.
Anyways.
Whoa, it's getting
Anyways.
deep. All right. So Miami, we're looking at Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. Parker.
And William Fuller.
Yeah.
And we mentioned Gesicki, but he's the clear-cut tight end. We're just kind of figuring out if he figures into these top 3 or so
Yeah, if he's
players that we're
the,
targeting.
the target share.
Yeah.
And I think you think he is. I think you actually have him above all these guys, don't you?
For the position, right?
I think he looks a lot like Mark.
Well, no, I mean, let's not do that to Mr. Gesicki. It's not fair. I mean, Mark's got a face for radio.
I do like Gesicki, honestly, at the tight end position because he's been a solid producer the last couple of years, right? He's been the go-to guy. Tua is still young. He's probably going to rely on
Way
the tight
better
end.
looking than Mark. Come on.
At the position that you're going to get them, right? So you're looking at these wide receivers, probably down around your wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 range. When with Gesicki, you're kind of looking at your end of the tight end 1, tight end 2 talk for your team. So that's why I would value Gesicki maybe a little bit higher. But between the wide receivers, you never know what you're going to get with Will Fuller. And I'm going to be bullish on Fuller. I have a bone to pick with him because I think he screwed me out of a championship last year, $15K overall. He was suspended those last 5 weeks of the season. I was 40 points out of first place, and he was putting up absolute
He doesn't
bombs.
care about you, though.
I know he doesn't, but that's why I don't care about him.
But he was having a great season.
Yeah.
He was.
Well, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. He was putting up these magnificent games, and then I went from like 30, 40-point outbursts to then having to get my receivers were only scoring like early 20s, and I think
that's
because
just bad
of that,
team building. But
no, this was the best ball. So this was you drafted in the beginning of the year.
oh yeah, I got it. So
I had the right chemistry. I just didn't know he was going to smoke himself off the field. That's all.
yeah,
You can't predict that.
the purposes of the show.
Parker.
Yeah, Parker's your number one
Consistent.
guy.
Yeah, out of those 3, Parker, because he's been there. He's consistent. He's gotten, I think, markedly better every year.
All right, and who would be this next guy in line for you out of Fuller and Waddle?
I like the promise of Waddle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that in Waddle? You're saying Waddle?
Yeah, I'd go Waddle.
Okay. What about you, Mr. Rock? What are you looking at? A beach house? Come on, Rocky. Jesus.
No, I'm
In
not.
the middle of the show, Rocky.
I'm actually looking at Jalen Waddle, and here's why. Why are people so high on him?
SEC, baby.
So Parker, 63 receptions, 800 yards, 12.6 yards reception, 4 touchdowns. Fuller, 53, 879, 17 yards, 8 touchdowns. In my opinion, it's Fuller. I'm going Fuller first.
Yeah. Hit the Step Brothers thing. I'm with you. Don't think about it. Forget it. If we gotta go, it's over.
John Stamos.
There you go.
What? Did we just become best friends?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I got it.
That was a fantastic segue, guys.
Parker.
Yeah,
next.
it's so bad. You could talk over the drop.
Yeah, well, I know, but
everybody knows. They know what it is, though.
You called it out. We waited, and then you still
if you can't
waited
get
for
to
it to end.
Yeah, I mean, it's all right.
Parker, second to me. Here's Waddle. He's an undersized receiver, 5'9".
Yep.
Who's going to play the slot?
Yeah. Who didn't run a 40 on his pro day.
He didn't have to.
Why not?
Well, you're caping for Waddle now, huh?
No, I'm just saying he didn't have to. It was his prerogative. This is America.
His best season at Alabama in the SEC, best season, 45 receptions, 840 yards, 7 touchdowns, big yards per catch, 18.8. That same season, Devontae Smith, 68 receptions, 1,256 yards, 18.5 yards per catch, 14 touchdowns. And everybody is trying to say that Waddle's the better receiver, or they think he could be.
Yeah.
I don't care that he got hurt. The year that he played, the whole year, he underperformed.
But look at who he's had. I mean, there's a picture that's circulating.
Matt freaking Jones.
No. As far as wide receivers around him, he's playing with Devontae Smith, who's going to demand the ball. He played with Calvin
That's
Ridley.
the point, I think.
But nobody thought Smith. The year before, Smith was not talked about. It was Waddle. Going into last season, it was Waddle they were talking about. Now, he got hurt.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have enough body. To me, Smith is head and shoulders. I absolutely draft him before I draft Waddle.
But it was the same thing with Justin Jefferson, because Justin Jefferson was second fiddle to Jamar Chase 2 seasons ago.
Okay, yeah.
That's fair.
And Jefferson comes out and tears up the league. These SEC teams, because they are running pro-style offenses and facing pro-style defenses, it's really tough to tell, honestly, with these receivers.
I get it, but it wasn't tough for Smith to separate himself.
No. And if it's fair, maybe I could talk about these guys. You guys go with that?
Well, if Smith is the first read for
Waddle's my third receiver off this board.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And I like rookies.
Let Phil spew whatever he's going to spew.
All right, then you got to set the camera here.
Yeah.
That's
John Stamos. What? Did we just become best friends? Yup.
That shit's funny.
Would you please pass the jelly?
All right, Phil, let's let you talk about.
Yeah, I mean,
these
can't get a
receivers.
word in edgewise, so.
I mean, our words it's like gold.
Yeah.
It's gold.
The weight.
We
worlds.
volley it back and forth, and then
You made a fat joke.
occasionally we hit
that
one
wasn't
into
a fat joke.
Occasionally we hit one into the net, and you have to scurry across the court, grab the ball, and
I wouldn't grab your
scurry
balls.
back off.
All right, so how about you?
So Waddle, I'm with you on Waddle, and for me, Fuller would be the guy. I think he's going to kick the weed. He's on his second. What is
Name
second
one
or
receiver
13th?
that's been able to kick the weed.
I think a bunch, man.
I don't
Or
think
just
he's-
know about that.
I think. Listen, I think a bunch of them smoke. I think the problem is, there's ways to pass the test.
I think
you got to
he's
be
gonna
smart. They have a
discover-
heads
yeah.
up. So, like, if you've listened to NFL players talk about this before, they have a heads up kind of when they're going to get tested.
Yeah.
So, I've heard them complain before when guys fail the test because when it's coming. I think it's just a responsibility thing. Guy's got another contract, another chance. I think he knows if he flames out here, it's going to look bad for him, especially if it's something that he could avoid.
Well, and especially because it's a 1-year contract.
Well, that too. It's a prove year. So even if he just stays clean for this year, I look at all three of these guys, and the guy that excites me the most is definitely Fuller. I mean, you seen what he did last year. He put on a friggin' show. Devontae Parker's been inconsistent. I've liked the guy for a lot of years, at least in theory, what he could do, and he's produced. But I think Fuller has a way higher ceiling. Waddle, I just don't know. I can't put him above either one of these guys and do it like, I guess you could argue Tua coming from Alabama, maybe that's something, but I just don't see it. I mean, I don't understand, like you were saying, how people are arguing him over Smith.
Undersized.
How is he better than Fuller? Fuller's done it in the league
Against
You've
great
seen him,
competition.
yeah. I just don't get it.
I mean, who was thrown to Fuller last year?
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. So Deshaun Watson, I mean, he had a lot in his hands, Deshaun Watson, last year.
Yeah, he did.
And he still was able to throw the ball out to Fuller. That was a bad argument. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that was. So, so I go in that order. I go Will Fuller, Devontae Parker, Jalen Waddle.
Okay.
Gesicki. Yeah, I think probably if we were slotting these guys just as far as fantasy value on the team, I would probably still go Gaskin first, and I'd probably go Fuller, then Gesicki, just because I think if Fuller, the only question with Fuller is if he could pass the test.
Yeah, well, I think he's also out week 1 too.
Yeah, I don't think
because he was a 6-game suspension and he served 5 of them last year.
I don't think he has to stop smoking. I think he has to
pass the test.
I mean, how irresponsible is that though? Like they get the heads up. I mean, because let's face it, first and foremost, this is a business, right?
Yeah.
So these owners are like, listen, stay in line. And when they come in for the testings, it's third party. So it's like, to liken it to my job, it's like, we run a surgery center, we run it well. And then, a third party affiliate comes in, to make sure that everything that we're doing is, status quo. Same thing when the health officials come into a restaurant, right? Mm-hmm. They're making sure that it's status quo. So they're coming in from the outside. So in the NFL, it's big business. They give these guys the heads up and they still balk at the chance. Like it's frustrating because Fuller.
Josh Gordon.
Yeah. When was the last time Fuller finished the season though?
That's fair.
He didn't finish last year. The year before, I think he was a little injured. The year before that was substance abuse too. Like how many times are you going to have to? I don't know.
I'm just betting on it being a prove it year and him trying to.
Well, and I think
I
you
hope
always want to because Josh Gordon, he wasn't kind of good. Like his first 2 seasons.
Yeah, he was great.
He was great. He would have signed, honestly, the Browns would have either given him like a contract somewhere around $100 million.
Yeah.
Or he would have signed with another team for that. And he shit it away because he can't.
Well, I think with Gordon, it's a whole different. I think Gordon is legit just an addict. I think with Fuller, I don't think it's to that extent. I don't think we have the track record to say it's that
name
extent.
something. If I had $100 million in my hand and I said, Phil, this could be yours, and you got to stop it.
Well, yeah, you could say you're going to stop it, but
you
to go follow through with it, I think it's hard to do if you're addicted to something.
Could you do it? Could you put people around you that would make sure you wouldn't do it?
Maybe. I'm saying I can. I know, but we're just.
I'm just saying, come on.
Yeah, that's not a maybe then. That's a definite because you take parameters.
Hire somebody to keep you in a prison at night so you can't get out. Like $100 million. Then you can go do whatever you want to do. I don't get it.
I mean, that's like privilege at its finest. Like you're $100 million and you're like, screw it, I can do what I want doing drugs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
well, we're off on a tangent here, guys. So I think we wrapped up all 4 of them, right?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Where can they find us? Well, I guess I'm doing the outro.
Yeah, you're doing the outro. Right? So, I mean, is there anything?
No, don't.
We already talked about our mandate. We're all good on that, right?
Our what?
Our mandate.
Me and Rocky's mandate.
Yeah, Phil didn't. Mark didn't go too.
No, but you guys did
invite him. So.
You guys did pregame in the garage.
We did.
Yeah, it was good times.
Oh yeah, you guys did.
And then Mark was a good dad. He built his son's bed.
Yeah, he was showing you his wood.
Yeah,
he was.
After I polished it.
A little early for that, though.
Yeah, I polished it and painted it brown so that it appeared bigger.
Yeah, it was actually,
that's what he liked.
Long story short,
anyway.
I show up, and I'm driving out to Phil's, and I'm texting, and he's not answering, and I'm like,
oh, I was sleeping.
Damn.
Dude, then he starts, then he texts me.
So then I'm sitting in the driveway, and then
he did.
Then he says, I'll be out in 5 minutes. So
like
I'm waiting in a
minutes.
drive-through. Then he says, I gotta take a crap.
Yeah.
It's going to be, I know
that's
what
a
that
ritual.
means.
That's a ritual.
That's a bad signal.
So that's
not that bad signal, you dumb shits.
That's what I thought.
That's a bad signal.
Then I texted
that's me taking a shit in the morning. That's a Pasquale's tradition.
It's the bad signal because it's shit.
Then I texted you and said, I'm looking at you in the window, and he pops out real
And
quick.
I legitly actually looked out my back window because I thought maybe you guys were in the backyard or something, like, grilling eggs at, 7:30 in the morning or whatever the hell time you texted me.
Grilling eggs.
So I look and I'm like, he's not out there. And then he's like, no, for real, I'm outside.
Yeah.
So then I go downstairs, open the garage door, and there he is,
Yeah. It was a
sitting in his car,
beautiful sight in the morning. I'm just saying.
waiting for the bat signal to finally
I think
calm down.
Mark was like,
Man,
He's so bad at this.
oh, nice, killing everybody.
It's ridiculous. All right, guys. So yeah, we'll let Mark take you out.
I wasn't ready for this. I was just kidding about that. But anyway, thank you for tuning in, guys. We're going to bring you content like we do whenever.
Yep.
Hit us up with some comments, questions, concerns. Give us some
Concerns.
likes. Subscribe. Yeah, fantasy concern. Am I doing the outro or you doing the outro?
I'm just
all right.
peanut gallery.
Zip down over there. All right.
Zip down.
Zip down.
He's crashing. He's burning.
You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us pretty much anywhere, man. Our subscriptions are rising. We appreciate that. Keep hitting us up. Tell your friend. Tell your mother. Tell your grandmother. Come check us out.
All right.
Later.
pretty sure you said the penis gallery.